Okay, hello everybody. My name is Hussey Williams and I'm in San Diego, California. I live in La Jolla. And this is going to be a very good video, so please stay with it. Excuse me. Now, I just got here, so give me a second to unwind just for a second. Okay, now this is going to be one of the best videos that I've ever made. It's going to be mostly about what I put up with in my last apartment in Michigan, what occurred in it concerning me being gang stalked at that apartment complex, and I'll probably make some statements concerning how I was being gang stalked along all my routes. Hold on. In Michigan, I'll be exposing some of the places that I was gang stalked at. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to segue into how some of the harassment, in fact, a good majority of the harassment that I endured in Michigan is almost identical to a T in reference to the verbal harassment that I have endured practically every single day, sometimes along every single one of my routes, every single day, sometimes literally non-stop. Here in San Diego, and every single place that I went in Yucca Valley, California. When I left La Jolla to go to Yucca Valley for 1 week, I went out there to attempt to try to connect with a fellow target individual, David Larson, okay, in Yucca Valley. It didn't work out. I went to the home that is stated on the internet was to be connected, sorry, let me backtrack for a second. I looked up on the internet David Larson's address at the Northern University of San Diego Public Library, UCSD Biomedical Library, and SDSU's Love Library, in reference to his home address, his all transportation routes to get to Yucca Valley, and Yucca Valley's public transportation as well at these 3 aforementioned libraries. Go to Google and type in libraries and gang stalking, then go to Google and type in cyber surveillance and gang stalking. Is this how they deduced that I was preparing to go to Yucca Valley, so they would know where and how to prop up the harassment of me, and why when I went out there and I went to that physical address, an individual there stated that David Larson had moved. Okay, hold on. Now, when I went there, within 3 days before me going there, I rechecked that address just to make sure that I had all my MapQuest directions done correctly. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. Okay, now, so, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to explain to you a little bit about what was going on towards me in Michigan. When I first became an open organized gang stalking victim in Michigan, which is where it openly started at, and it has been non-stop, I think at least since late 2001, if I remember correctly, I could not make sense of what was going on, because I didn't have a name, okay, to do any research online that would brief me and educate me concerning what was going on. And since gang stalking, in a lot of ways, is a crime of deception, it's a crime to intentionally alter your perception about what is about normalcy. Gaslighting. You can research sensitization methods in gang stalking, gaslighting in gang stalking, the psychological mechanics of gang stalking, the direct conversation of gang stalking, and I think you'll get a preliminary understanding in reference to what I mean by that. That way I don't have to go into long, detailed explanations per description, okay, because that would take up way too much time in this video. But when I became an open gang stalking victim, it was already going on before the open harassment started, okay? When it started, I couldn't make sense of anything, okay, of what was being utilized around me concerning me, okay, because I didn't have a name for the crime in order to research it, to see what it was all about, who was connected to it, how the police are involved in it, and so on and so forth. So I walked around from late 2001, I think that's when it started, if I remember correctly, up until June 9th, 2009, without having a name for this crime, it occurring towards me every day, everywhere I went. Now, once you become a victim of gang stalking, even before you're aware that what's happening to you is gang stalking, you start noticing patterns of behaviors happening towards you. People being intentional, all the things that I've already aforementioned and more. But you start noticing the patterns of behaviors happening to you because they're repetitive. And I'm talking about covertly created circumstances, evictions, assaults, even rape. how doctors are possibly, how doctors will intentionally, absolutely, criminally, falsely diagnose you with a mental diagnosis you don't have. How the police are involved in filing falsified police reports and petitioning you into a psychiatric court. How they will not investigate the gang stalking of you. Okay, so, you know, you start over time, when you go through all these experiences and then in hindsight you review them, you automatically start noticing the patterns. Just like a investigator, private investigator, or a police detective will look for patterns in a crime that they might be investigating. Okay? And so I basically started noticing things, the patterns, a lot of patterns that were happening towards me, which automatically told me that this was a covertly orchestrated, propped up crime, just because of the sensitization methods that were being propped up around me every day, everywhere I went, and the covert verbal harassment I was enduring at least 3 apartments. But the reason why I brought up this pattern situation concerning gang stalking is because even before I found out the name of the crime that was happening to me on June 9, 2009, once I went through what I went through between 2001 up to about 2009, I was able to look back on these patterns and recognize that this shit was already going on towards me and around me concerning aspects of this crime long before the open gang stalking harassment started. Hold on. And I am not the only targeted individual who has deduced this and even proven it. Now I just noticed that my battery light is running a little bit low. So if this video stops while I'm in the middle of talking at any time, just go ahead and look for a second video. Okay, if I have to make a second video at the very beginning of it, I'll say that this is the video 2 of a 2-part video series, whether it's titled yet or not. So just go into this YouTube channel and look for the second video, which will have that in the beginning, those statements in the beginning of that video. Now, what I'm going to do in this particular video is I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the harassment that I endured. Okay, I'm only going to speak a bit at concerning one apartment. Okay, on November 29th, 2009, I had already made a decision to go sign a lease for an apartment in Dearborn, Michigan. I had already made the preparations for it with the landlord, the prospective landlord, and I knew that I was going to be signing the lease on that day. So I went to U of M in Dearborn, Michigan, and I either enhanced a blog or I wrote a blog concerning what was going to be going on at that apartment complex. Hold on. Because it was my goal at that time to prove that I was being gang stalked 2 apartments. Okay? Because they had already created the homelessness at least twice in previous apartments. And so it was my beginning to try and connect this crime to apartment buildings and landlords. And I did. Hold on. Within the first 5 days of me running that apartment after I signed the lease, within the first day the gang stalking started at that apartment complex. As soon as I got the key, went to the apartment, opened up the door, and closed it, I was already experiencing harassment at that apartment complex. Okay? And I experienced it every single day and night at that apartment complex, up until the day I left it on October 7th, 2010. Now, within the first 5 days of me signing the lease, I went to different places, to I think at least 2 different city halls, and had these notaries made that were already written out by me on 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper, from the top to the very bottom, leaving just enough room for it to be notarized, predicting how these little filthy maggots were going to create the homelessness of me from this apartment, and some of the harassment that I endured at it as well. Every single bit of it came true. Every single bit of it. When I went and got these notaries made, I had running recording tape recorders on me as well, which proves the date and times of these notaries. Hold on. At this apartment complex, I was experiencing individuals standing outside my door. See, because it was a studio apartment, so once you walked to the apartment door from the outside, put your key in, open the door, go inside, close the door behind you, you're literally facing the living room. I intentionally propped up my bed that did not have any box springs, just a mattress, on the floor of the living room, which was the first room that was directly perpendicular to the door. Say this is the door, this is the floor, okay, right on the other side of the door, and this is where I put the mattress at. And the reason why I did this was because I knew what I had already endured at at least 2 previous apartments. Individuals getting on the stairwell of those 2 previous apartments and saying, "Oh my God, crazy, weird, what's the matter with her? Why don't you get her out of here?" Okay? Absolutely. I heard them running down the stairs when I would get up and run to the door, okay? And running down the stairs, a couple times they even tripped and then hurry up and ran into the lower flat that was on the bottom. There were houses that had upper and lower flats, and there was a stairwell that I had to go up to get to my upper flat. Well, at the bottom of that stairwell used to be a door for the individuals to come through the back door to go into their lower flat. They would literally stand outside my door and repeat these words and phrases nonstop. I'd run to the door to open it up to catch them. They'd run down the stairwell and go into that door that connected to the lower flat. A couple times they fell. I'd also hear them laughing. Now, fellow American citizens, so I knew I had a very good idea what I was going to endure at this apartment. So I intentionally put that mattress on the floor, and the reason why I did that because every time when I came home, I'd lay on the bed, and then I just had to stick my head down to almost where my ear was on the floor, and I could see the little opening that was there between the floor and the bottom of the door. Now there was a hallway light on in the hallway, which means that every time somebody walked by either way, I could see feet walking. Now individuals are standing outside this door saying the same exact identical words and phrases that they had said at the previous 2 apartments, just different voices. I'd look, I'd see the little footsteps walk up to the door, stand there, say these words, I'd get up off the bed to go to the door, and they would run to the apartment right next door and shut the door. I'd even hear the door shut. They used to throw keys up against the wall. They entered that apartment when I wasn't at home and took the blinds off the window and threw them on the floors. I talked about that in some of my tape recorders. That technique was also exposed by Mike Fitzhugh-Bell when he was being covered on Coast to Coast AM radio show on Valentine's Day 2013, and it's also mentioned in his book, The Invisible Crime. Gang stalking expeditions are nationwide. They are occurring in every state, county, city, and town in the United States, and a lot of their harassment techniques are identical and very similar. Now, I come out here to San Diego on August 8, 2011, and I have caught repetitively on over 1,000 audio files people saying gang stalk, oh my God, weird, gang stalk, crazy. Do you think that's an accident? Hold on. Now, also, I mentioned about how when they were outside of my door, they would say things like, "Why don't you get her out of here? Why don't you get her evicted?" Shit like that. When I moved to a specific area, I used to be staying off of Friars and Frazee Road when I first came to San Diego. I moved to about 3 different locations, and then I decided to come to La Jolla. When I first came to La Jolla, I was hiking off a certain specific road that I gave a code name to, called GILL ×2, I'm a woman, not a man, HA location. Now, I've discussed this in many video files when I was staying at that location. Within 10 days of me moving there, they had propped up at least 3 different homeless men to camp out 100 feet away from me who were yelling, "Gang stalk, why don't you get her out of here? Gang stalk, why don't you call the cops and get her out of here? Gang stalk, why don't you come and steal her stuff? Gang stalk, crazy. Gang stalk, weird. Gang stalk, oh my God. Gang stalk, suck my dick." Now, I think you should take a look at those statements that I endured, that I was exposing all over the internet between 2013 and March of 2014, what I was enduring at that hiking area, and cross-reference it to how it's extremely similar to the verbal harassment that I was exposing in emails that I was experiencing in Michigan. Non-stop threats of my property being stolen and or me being arrested or ticketed by the cops for camping. Fear about being evicted. Do you understand? Now, you can go to Google and you can type in UCSD and Law Library, are they networking gang stalking? There's massive evidence in that blog, indisputable evidence. But what I want you to do when you go to that blog, the very first thing for you to do is go to the section that exposes the YouTube video stalked in San Antonio. Right above or right below that YouTube video is a PDF link of 2 emails that I made, one in 2006 and the other one in 2008. The one in 2006 clearly shows me stating some verbal harassment I was enduring at the Point Loma Library. okay? Verbal cues, okay? And it also points to how I talked about how property of mine had been taken out of one of my apartments in Michigan and then suddenly reappears. The 2000, and then the other email clearly shows me stating that they had entered my apartment when I was sleeping and turned on all the lights and closed and opened up all the doors. The same exact identical to a T testimony that these two women are exposing in that YouTube video, Stalked in San Antonio. Now that news broadcast didn't occur until February 17, 2010. My two emails were already made, one in 2006 and one in 2008. And the 2006 one clearly shows me talking about the Point Loma Library, stating to Mrs. Worthy, a prosecutor in Michigan, check around the Point Loma Library, you never know what you might hear. And that was referring to the gang stalking verbal harassment, which was identical, being perpetrated around me every day, everywhere I went when I came here to San Diego from Michigan in 2006 when I was out here between 1 and 38 days. Fellow American citizens, just this alone indisputably proves that I'm being gang stalked. Indisputably. And I have suffered some of the most horrific crimes that your mind can conceive and cannot. And I can't get one bit of help. Whenever the state, county, city, or governments are involved in any type of illegal or criminal activity, whether the populace is aware of it or not, one of the main things that the governments do not want is to lose a dime in any type of lawsuit, especially ones that are connected to criminality that they are engaged in. Make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. They will do anything and everything to discredit the truth teller. They will do anything and everything to make sure the truth is never exposed in court, and they will use anybody and everybody that they can to achieve their just these two objectives alone, including using law enforcement to protect it, especially if law enforcement's been involved in it and have been used for it. Make no mistake about it, especially since these crimes are directly connected to human trafficking. Make no mistake about it. So you better believe to your bottom dollar, okay, that the San Diego County government will never ever tell the truth in court in reference to what has happened to me concerning since I've been back here since 8/8/2011 up to this date, March 9, 2016, and what they did, what they played a direct role in 2006, a staged event at a camping area. They'll never admit it, ever. They won't file a police report that I'm factually being gang stalked and harassed every day, everywhere I go, in some of the most vile ways that you can think of. Okay? Absolutely. But they will arrest me for illegal lodging, trespassing, or encroachment. But they won't investigate the gang stalking that created the homelessness of me. That aforementioned apartment that I told you I signed the lease for on 11/29/2009, they stole my rent. Rent that was mailed, certified mail return receipt through the United States Postal Service. And the rent was even purchased through a post office money order. Now, let's take a look at that. That's a federal offense right there. Absolutely. Absolutely. So go to Google and type in how they create the homelessness of targets. It's all over the internet that they do this. It's one of their main techniques. And they don't do it to just walk away and say, aha, we created the homelessness of you and that's it. How was I stalked from Michigan to Connecticut to San Diego? How? Interstate stalking, which is also a federal offense. Now, fellow American citizens, if our law enforcement or our district attorneys or our prosecutors won't investigate the places that have been gang stalked at, the fact that the homelessness was created because of the gang stalking, if they won't make a police report that I am being gang stalked, leaving me in the continued victimization of it, but yet, even though they've been shown massive evidence, but yet they will arrest me and ticket me for illegal lodging, trespassing, and encroachment, what does that fucking tell you? I suggest you go to Google and type in police and gang stalking. Do you think it's all over the internet they're involved in these crimes when they're not? Go to Google and type in illegal GPS tracking of a target's cell phone and gang stalking, including police doing it. You know, when they come in my physical presence, they act like they don't know me. Okay, they'll say some bullshit story about why they're in my physical proximity, and then they'll give me the ticket and or arrest me for it. Then they'll use the corrupt public defender's office and prosecutor's office to prosecute the ticket. Bring the case before a syndicated judge, okay, who already knows what's going on. They'll lie about it, call me crazy concerning it, because the goal is to use the courts to achieve their objective. The original criminal motivation and cover up what's already happened and who's being exposed pertaining to who participated in it. They don't give a flying fuck what you know or don't. They're criminals. You know, if this crime was happening to any one of them, or their relatives, or their close friends, you better believe that they would expect help from the government or law enforcement. You better believe they would. You better believe it. But they had no problem whatsoever doing this to a organized stalking, gang stalking targets, because to them, they're just another person. They don't care. They don't care at all. So I strongly suggest you also go to Google and type in human trafficking and gang stalking, rape and gang stalking, illegal probate control and gang stalking, massive violations of the RICO Act and gang stalking, slavery and gang stalking, assaults and gang stalking, falsified police reports and gang stalking, prosecutors, public defenders, judges and gang stalking, lawyers and gang stalking. And do your research. So go to that blog and witness the evidence in it, and you will deduce this crime is factually happening to me. And I can't get not one bit of help concerning it because of the organized crime in the system that is perpetrating these criminal realities. My name is Leslie Williams. I'm in San Diego, California. I'm not doing what I'm doing because I'm pissed off at SDPD because of what they did in 2006, no matter what that blog states. I'm doing what I'm doing for the sake of justice. We have laws that are supposed to be protecting us, but when the system is used to victimize us in some of the most inhumane, criminalized ways that your mind can conceive and not, you have a divine right to protect yourself and expose who's involved. You do, and don't let anyone ever make you believe that you don't have a right to your rights. If this video doesn't stop before I can play you an Instagram audio file of me being gang stalked in La Jolla, one of over 1,000, then just go to that blog and look for the audio files of me being gang stalked and harassed. I just left Ross grocery store where people were standing around me again, sitting around me and saying, gang stalk, suck my dick, gang stalk, oh my God. It's caught in there every time I go in there, every single time, on a running, recording, digital tape recorder, and everywhere I go. Can you imagine having to hear that kind of vile shit every day, everywhere you go, knowing that it's intentionally propped up for you to experience? Hold on. I want you to also go to Google and type in how they can hack into your phone and use the microphone as a microphone. I'm sorry, how they can use the speaker as a microphone. Now, they've jammed this phone several times. Absolutely. Okay? So, if they're doing that with this phone, they can hear everything I'm stating right now and come and arrest me before this video is uploaded. They can erase the video when I go to put it into the computer. Okay, so it won't be uploaded, which they've done at UCSD and at the North University San Diego Public Library. Oh, absolutely. Make no mistake about it. Do you really believe that gang stalking in libraries is all over the internet? To be physical locations that are involved in gang stalking, it's all over the internet. It's being exposed by people in every state, city, and town. Yet it's not happening? I don't think so. And anybody that's got the ability to use common sense would deduce that it is occurring when they research it. Because of the amount of Google-generated responses that come up when you type these terms in, and the testimony of targeted individuals. I was also falsely arrested in Connecticut on my way to the ACLU for exposing the gang stalking of me in Stamford, Connecticut. This is it occurring in Yucca Valley. already know that the police are involved in this crime. Syndicate members and control cops are. But I don't believe that all cops are. So if you're a police officer watching this and you don't know what gang stalking is, or if you've never been involved in it, I'm not trying to stain the image of police officers, because I know there's got to be a lot of good ones out there that are just going to work and trying to do their job to do their best. And my hat's off to you. I truly mean that. But you got to look at my statements from a target and a victim's point of view. We pay our taxes to expect uncorrupted legal law enforcement assistance when we are victims of a crime. And target individuals of gang stalking are denied these most basic rights. And police are also being used to victimize us in ways that are just criminal to the extreme.
So I strongly suggest you Google what I stated. YouTube it as well.
Cross-reference what's in that blog and you'll clearly see what's happening to me. I'm in San Diego, California. My name is Leslie Williams. I do not do drugs. I do not drink. I do not sleep around. I do not steal. I'm not a threat to myself or others, and I am not mentally ill. But these are literally just some of the types of labels that corrupt law enforcement, judges, prosecutors, and public defenders will attempt to put on a target individual to discredit them, to discredit the truth they're telling, and to assist them in the illegal probate control for massive violations of the RICO Act. Federal and state funds per target, okay, insurance fraud, and human trafficking inside a syndicated run organized crime group home. I'm in San Diego, California. My name is Leslie Williams. I do what I do to inform, to expose the truth.